Drexel University opened its new health sciences building today. The 12-story building on 36th Street is the new home for Drexel's College of Nursing, along with other health-related programs.
Two local universities are a step closer to joining forces. Drexel and Salus universities formalized their plans to merge. The presidents and representatives of both schools held a ceremonial signing yesterday. The boards of trustees for both schools have approved the merger. Now it's just up to regulatory and judicial reviews.
Drexel University and Pierce College are working together. Their pilot program allows adults to earn online associate degrees from Pierce, then use those credits to earn an online bachelor's degree from Drexel. Both institutions are also working with St. Christopher's Hospital for Children to offer apprenticeship opportunities.
The Big Five has a lot of news going on. So first things first, they officially welcomed in a sixth member, Drexel, while also announcing the Big Five Classic. Yes, this is going to be a triple header that will be played at the Wells Fargo Center to give new life to all of these historic rivalries. Now, the men's tournament will begin this season. The women will begin next year.
Now to the investigation of that collapsed highway in Philadelphia after a fuel tanker truck crashed and caught fire. Emily Aketa is there tonight with the latest.
Steel girders supporting overpasses like the one in Philadelphia can become vulnerable when exposed to flames. According to engineering experts, steel loses about 20% of its strength at 750 degrees and half of its strength at 1,000.
If you heat up the structural material, it gradually softens, it loses the ability to carry the weight that was above it. And as a result, we can have damage to the bridge, and in extreme cases, we can have full collapse.
Well, let's welcome Sherelle Barber. She's a social epidemiologist and director of the Ubuntu Center on Racism, Global Movements, and Population Health Equity at Drexel University. And she joins us now from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Thanks so much for being here with us. So you were in Jackson doing some research on this problem. Even as someone who studies these types of issues, were you surprised that a major city, a state capital, could suffer from these types of issues in 2022?
I was actually not really surprised when we think about Jackson, Mississippi in particular, but just cities in general. The kinds of infrastructure issues that we're seeing in Jackson, are happening in other parts of the country as well.
Documents drafted in 2010 by the owner of the building and a professional engineer called for structural repairs, including probe steel beam, which had to be done in the presence of the engineer of records to determine how much repair work was necessary. Dr. Abby Aguirre is a professor of structural engineering at Drexel University and reviewed the records with us.
You have to keep up with the maintenance of every building, especially buildings like these that are exposed to the elements.
Joining me live now is Daniel Caution. He's an associate professor of marketing at the LaBelle College of Business at Drexel University. Thank you so much for being with us, Professor. So, did Target make a mistake here? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Target, is struggling with the same thing that all brands are struggling now, and that's maintaining a consistency to the way they engage on these political issues. That's what really gets on the nerves of consumers and employees, is when brands, when they kind of like go back on their word, or when they, they'll say one thing and do something else.
Professor Richardson Dilworth is the director of the Department of Politics at Drexel University. Looking at the state of American politics, he says the divisions are more than political theater.
The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are really being reformulated with new forms of activists and a new generation of voters and activists who have a very different sense of politics and political participation.
Warning about the dangers of social media use among kids and teens.
And I'm sure you're not surprised. The U.S. Surgeon General just put out an advisory highlighting this as a public health issue. I would say it's an emergency almost at this point. So what could be done about it?
So we have Dr. Ebony White here. She's an assistant clinical professor in Drexel University's Counseling and Family Therapy Department.
It really does take a village because this is a relational issue. It's not just an individual issue, so we all do need to get involved.
Maddie Stanislaus is Vice Provost and Executive Director of the Environmental Collaboratory at Drexel University. He says to prevent and protect, he'd like to see better disclosure in the industry.
I would want a greater level of disclosure of not just actual incidents that occurs in a spill, but what we call near misses.
We're here on Drexel University's campus, but there's one classroom that is filled with students from the school district of Philadelphia. They are students with special needs who are sharpening their life skills and getting real-world experience in the community with internships.
We have an employment rate for graduates of our program as at 92%, as compared to the national average being 58% of young adults with autism that as they graduate are employed.
Drexel students left the dorms and classrooms to help spruce up the community in West Philadelphia. Students and staff took part in a day of study and service in honor of Dr. King. The service project included cleaning along Lancaster Avenue.
In the music room of Longwood Gardens, you will find two ladies dancing, trimmed top to bottom in festive florals.
This has been such an experience from like a fashion designer's point of view, making a dress out of flowers.
The crafting of these delicate garments are thanks to design students from Drexel University.
Drexel University senior created an earth-friendly, sustainable solution. Paige Lee D'Angelo's aha moment came when she was actually studying meteorology at Drexel.
I was researching and reporting on sustainability for our TV show, Drexel's TV. I was doing research on individual waste, and I realized that most of my waste came from cosmetics.
Well, for many students, summer is a time to unwind and refresh for the upcoming school year. But for these rising 11th and 12th graders, they're seizing the chance to advance their knowledge in the STEM fields. Students taking part in Drexel University's week-long Biomed Summer Academy. Today they got hands-on experience in gene editing and tissue engineering.
Plenty of pomp and circumstance at Citizens Bank Park in South Philadelphia this evening. This is the commencement exercises for the 2023 class of Drexel University. And speaking to the graduates was the music and artistic director of the Philadelphia Orchestra, Yannick Nézet-Seguin. He also received an honorary degree during tonight's ceremony. Congratulations to the grads.